Welcome to the WP SEO Show, brought to you by SEO Hive, your proactive white label SEO partner. The WP SEO Show is all about talking WordPress and SEO, from optimizations, structures, setups, and plugins. We explore how to make your WordPress website perform better in the search engines. Here are your hosts, Pete Everett and Jeff Patch.
Now, we didn't talk about this before the show, Jeff, but maybe one thing we should touch on is themes. So I know you're a big Kadence user. I'm a big Beaver Builder user, but because Beaver Builder is not a theme, I actually use the Page Builder theme from David Von Gries. Isn't it called the WP
Page Builder Framework?
Page Builder Framework, that's the one. So I'm very much an advocate of that. Again, we get exceptionally good results from it. I know you use Kadence. I tried Oxygen. I wanted to like Oxygen, but I didn't get on with it. And I'm not a massive fan of breakdance either. I suppose one of the advantages of doing what we do is we get to see the back ends of lots of WordPress websites and how people build them. But yeah, just your thoughts on themes. What do you think?
You know, I've yet to deal with breakdance or bricks or some of those. A lot of people talk about them. Oxygen is kind of what turned me off from testing out too many themes. And I say this knowing my inbox is going to just blow up, right? Like, I don't know. I don't want to make false accusations, but I played with Oxygen. We had a task that came through our desk or something like that. It was the first time I got to play with it, and it's fine. For me, for our team of WordPress developers, we felt like we were talking about earlier. Well, okay, changing the interface on us, that's not fun. But beyond that, it was fun. You know what I mean? Everything was kind of like, each block was like hard code. It was like all HTML code. There's tons of code going on everywhere, and there with that is a lot of power, but also it was so daunting to edit and things like that. And I mentioned something like that on a Facebook post, and I got probably 20 private messages from people telling me how wrong I was, and that I need to use their affiliate link to buy it. And I was just like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done. I've heard great things from a lot of developers and stuff like that. Maybe it can allow you to do things for our business, the way we build sites, the way we maintain sites, and it's just not necessary. So going back to what you said, you said you like Beaver Builder. I like Kadence. I love Beaver Builder. I just want to clarify. I'm a huge fan of the Beaver Builder, the theme. The theme is basically just a starter theme, but the plugin too, the Page Builder, is fantastic. It almost feels a little dated these days, but that's because they're never really like pushing the line forward. You know what I mean? They're just like,
Yeah.
this works. Let's make something that works, that's stable, that can do what you need to do. You know, occasionally you'll need to use a little HTML or CSS, but you know, when don't you? Yeah, I love Beaver Builder. The reason I started using the Kadence theme was because it's much like the Beaver Builder theme. It's kind of a starter theme. It really doesn't have anything to it other than the ability to customize every type of link and WordPress, you know, aspect of WordPress, like, you know, your footers, your archives, your WooCommerce templates. I mean, you can just do so much in the customizer, and being able to do that rather than having to code a custom theme just makes your business so much more efficient. There's obviously still plenty of reasons why you need something fully custom, or, you know, more flexible like Oxygen, or, you know, like we're not even using page builders anymore for most of our builds these days. Like, unless the client has a specific need, we use Kadence, sometimes Astra, which again, they're all so similar at this stage. And they all work with the page builder you use, whether that's Gutenberg, you know, block editor, or, you know, Elementor, any of them. They work very well these days. The big thing is having a theme that doesn't add all kinds of crud. You know, let me customize things, get the rest of it out. You know, like if you ever look at pretty much any theme forest theme, and you go to their options page, and I mean, they try to include every possible thing you could ever think of doing in there, and it just becomes a bloated mess. Bloated mess.
Yeah. So as I say, that's yeah. That's our stack. If my stack of choice is Beaver Builder and Beaver Themer. Another thing I didn't like about Oxygen, I I come from a development background, so the whole losing a theme thing and having to build it all as your own plugin in order to make it work, that didn't phase me at all. I was happy with that. The thing that I didn't like was that, so Beaver Builder, the core plugin is great. It comes alive with the Beaver theme or add-on. So okay, that's two plugins, but they're from the same developer, and they very much sit hand in hand. The support for both of them is exceptional. So you, with the two of them, you get a complete product. And short of coding in extra things that you might inject through shortcodes, we didn't need anything else. Sliders are there, carousels are there, um, things like masonry grid layouts are there. It's all there. You just you style it and you tag up the right images or custom fields, and off you go. Um, the thing I didn't like about Oxygen was that then all of these Oxygen gurus that appeared within 5 minutes of Oxygen being launched then had their own suite of additional plugins that they wanted or used in order to either change the way that Oxygen looked or worked in the back end, or to add extra functionality. So all of a sudden, I didn't just have two plugins from the same developer. I'd have 4 or 5 plugins from 4 or 5 different developers, all with annual subscriptions, just to get to the same result that I've got from Beaver Builder with one subscription with 2 plugins in it from the same place. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
It was becoming needlessly complicated and needlessly expensive for something that actually wasn't solving a problem I had, because I'm still getting the performance out of Beaver Builder. And you're dead right. The interface hasn't particularly changed since I started using it in 2016, but it just damn well works. That's the top and the bottom
Yeah.
of it. And I'm a great believer, like we've said through this whole thing, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So
Yeah. The fact that you're like, you use Kadence, like it kind of it I find it amusing. You're like, that's what you use. I'm like, no, I'll use the best tool for the job, but more often than not, it's Kadence. But to be honest, it's just because I got distracted one day. You know what I mean? I could still be with Beaver Builder and be perfectly happy. Uh, I will say, like, we're kind of venturing away from the WP SEO show with all this, but client it, more often than not, I'm finding end user low tech clients, right? Our plumbers that we're building websites for and then handing them the keys to. I find they're just more comfortable in the standard WordPress block editor.
yeah,
Developers hate it. All of our professional in the WordPress industry hate it. Some of them are coming along. I find it pretty good now, but the client, it's just work. It's sending. Why change the interface? I can't imagine in this day and age giving an end user client the blank um, uh, classic editor and expecting them to format their text and line up
yeah.
images and stuff with that. I mean, it's just nope, 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 nope.
Well, I mean, that's another good point. So another thing that Beaver Builder works really well with is the ACF flexible content field.
Hmm.
And I mean, that does kind of ebb more towards the classic editor than the block builder, but actually the number of options you can give clients in that is untrue. Maybe we should
Yeah.
do a walkthrough of how we make that work one day. That'd be quite cool. um but hey ho, right? So we've covered plugins, we've covered some thoughts on themes, and I'm sure there's loads of different opinions on this that people may have, and feel free to get in touch with us with those. I'm really tempted by Bricks. I do want to try Bricks. I haven't yet dabbled with that. I must admit, I might download it, and I know you got to pay for it, but I might download it and have a play. I am sort of interested in that.
I wish, Pete, let me just tell you, I wish I was in a situation where I could just play with the tools all the time again. I mean, it's like it's funny because now I've got the budget to be able to like buy tools and stuff like that. But, ooh, let's test this out on AppSumo or whatever. Whether it's AppSumo or I could buy it now. I don't have the time to deal with them all.
I know,
It's
I know. Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
when
So
I see somebody saying, "Hey, I'm thinking about testing this out," I'm thinking, "Well, what's broke with what you're doing now? Is there something wrong? Are you improving on it? Is that the best use of your time?"
I know, I know, and ultimately that's why it comes down to, and ultimately why I stick with Beaver Builder, because I know that if I'm going to change, I did try Oxygen. My actual personal brand website is built in Oxygen, and I'm thinking of rebuilding it back in Beaver Builder. But um, the the thing is, if I'm to take on a new theme, something that's that core to what I'm delivering as an agency, I'm going to need to test it thoroughly. I need to have some side projects to put it on, or maybe even do some I don't know, some like free work for maybe some charity clients or something in order to actually test these things in a production environment. And then it's going to be a 6-month stretch of work between now and actually switching, making the change to that, whatever that new tool is. And do I really want to take that on to find out halfway through that it's not good in a production environment, or it's not going to fit in with what we do, when I've got a perfectly good tool that's just working at the minute? It just doesn't make a lot of sense for me to make that leap unless there's a proper business case for me to do it. I'm not, call me cautious, I'm not the type of person that would just take on a new tool and fling it straight onto a production website without any idea of what the support level is going to be like, how it's going to interact. I need to understand it. And that is ultimately why I'm still with Beaver Builder, generally speaking.
It has proven time and time and again, that it's, like you said, the support, it's been stable. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I think as we come into a close, I think that really kind of, we've covered themes, we've covered plugins, that kind of covers off our WordPress SEO stack. But just as we maybe come into land with this episode, there are just 3 or 4 more tools that we do use quite regularly that on sites, but they're outside the WordPress infrastructure. The first of those is all of our data is powered through SEMRush. We may have some Ahrefs fans listening to the show. That's absolutely fine if you are one of those. We prefer SEMrush. We recently, I won't name the other tool, we recently looked at whether we could move away from SEMrush. And we did some benchmarking of some health audits between the SEMrush auditor and this other supplier, and they were way off. There was a whole load of false positives in the other suppliers' reports, and we just couldn't trust them. So we didn't move. We didn't explore that any further. We stuck with SEMrush. SEMrush obviously has a whole suite of stuff, but
Yeah, and it's always growing. As the guy who pays the bills in our business, I want to move away from SEMrush so bad. Like, let me just make that very clear.
this
I
is true.
SEMrush is it. I'm pretty sure it's by far our largest expense of software or
Software
any,
expense, yeah,
yeah,
it is.
software, anything like that. And it's not even close to anything. It is so expensive.
And I hasten to add that this, although you pay the bill, the account is my old account that I had from when I ran a freelance business, which I started 4 years before I started my agency, which I started 3.5 years before we started SEO Hive. So this account has been in existence for well over a decade,
Yeah, we
and
have a
it is
really
on
good grandfathered price.
yeah, absolutely. I even emailed them about 18 months ago and said, look, this is my account. I just want to check that I'm on the best deal with you, because we do have a large account with them. I know that we are on one of their higher plans. And the guy came back to me and said, like, dude, yeah, if you wanted to be on, like, if you wanted this plan on our current prices, it would be nearly $2,000 a month. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'll stay where I am. Thanks. We'll see you later.
I think his exact reply was ha 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 or something along those lines, and I just went, okay, all right, yeah,
Yeah,
no,
absolutely.
but yeah, so we were just testing some other things, and I don't want to say the name either because it actually, well, we tested a couple of them actually, if you remember, but they were
We did.
all good. They were all very good, but the data didn't line up. We couldn't rely on it. I mean, some of these things are arbitrary, and in fact it's possible that the SEMrush data is imperfect in a sense in some cases. Um, these are taking large amounts of data and making analysis on that. But yeah, we just couldn't find anything that was reliable to use
Nope.
at the scale that we're using it. So it
Nope.
may not be the best fit for you, for everybody else. And in fact, we probably could give a few of those other ones that we've tested and doesn't I don't want to say which ones we don't, because we
Yeah.
like them all. If budget is a situation,
Yeah.
I would love to use SE ranking.
Yep.
If
Yeah,
I was a
it's
smaller handful,
I
I
see.
don't know what their pricing is exactly, but if I had 5 or 6 websites I was taking care of, I'd probably be using SE Ranking.
Yeah, well, so interestingly, when I've been running courses and stuff, and we've been talking about keyword research and that kind of thing, I've often pushed Mangools. We seem to have got very good, consistent data, and consistent against a more expensive tool like SEMRush data from Mangools as well. Now, Mangools doesn't do everything that SEMRush does, and I don't think it runs a site audit the same. I think you need an SE ranking or something like that to fill that
Yeah.
part of it. But in terms of keyword research, link mining, I'm trying to think what the tools are off the top of my head now. I can't honestly remember, but there's the 4 or 5 tools. They, Mangools is certainly a very good low cost alternative to cover part of the SEMrush
Yeah,
functionality.
the tools they have are fantastic. They unfortunately don't cover everything we need to use in our agency, but we do. But to be clear, we do pay for Mangools. It's a great service. They have a lot of
Yep.
really good. I think most of our keyword research, we get most of our data through all that, and it's mind blowing for somebody that can get quickly overwhelmed by data. I get quickly overwhelmed in there, but it's all good stuff. It actually, let me be fair. There's a lot, and I personally get overwhelmed with that stuff. Mangools actually makes it pretty digestible for me.
That's exactly the point I was going to make. Actually, one of the things that I think Mangools does really well, if you look at the thing like the back end of SEMrush or something like that, it reminds me a bit of like the Home Depot website. It's kind of, it's very functional. There's a whole load of stuff there. The information is like in your face, but it's not pretty. It's not formatted. You need to know what you're looking at to not be overwhelmed. Whereas you look at the Mangools dashboard, and you know what? They actually do a really good job. They do this like dual screen layout if you're on desktop, so it's not like tables that are full width that with rows that you have to turn your head to read. They condense it really nicely, and from a UX point of view, Mangools is fantastic for that, in my opinion. Anyway,
Yeah, they
um,
spared no expense when they hired a UX designer or consultant. It is a fantastic interface.
yeah. So just moving on to another tool we use that doesn't have a fantastic interface but does give very good data is GTmetrix. Because
It's
again,
an app description. Yeah.
yeah, why it doesn't know that I'm not in Vancouver every time I want to run a test is
Oh,
slightly beyond me.
I
It's
know. Why
just
is
like,
Vancouver
come
their
on,
default search
like,
location? I love
yeah,
Vancouver. Used to live near Vancouver. Love Vancouver. Love you guys. But why is it the default search location?
absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, so that's awesome for running the core web vital stuff. Absolutely, and the speed test. Pingdom is also good. Tools.pingdom.com for speed waterfalls and that kind of thing. But I like the way GTmetrix gives you the core web vital stuff, which Pingdom doesn't do. Pingdom is literally a speed test. Hey, this is how fast it loads, and this is the order it loaded in. Whereas GTmetrix does work alongside the 6 core web vitals
Yeah.
criteria. So
GT metrics now. I wasn't a big fan a couple years ago of it. As a developer, probably because it gave you so much overwhelming information about things you just couldn't fix in a WordPress site. So you're like, I don't want to know about it. And we would have like SEO guys, be like, hey, fix this. I can't. It's going to cost like $5,000 just to rebuild the theme to fix that problem. But things have changed a bit. But yeah, they show you, they give you, I think, the lighthouse, the waterfall, everything. Um, I should. It, so when I wasn't loving GTmetrix, I was always using tools.pingdom.com. I think that's a great quick speed test, and I highly recommend that for a quick free one. GTmetrix now we pay for, so I'm realizing my perspective might be a little bit skewed, but we only pay, I want to say like $14 a month,
yeah,
and that gives us hundreds of tests every month that we can
I,
do like over and
I
over again.
think
So
it's less than
even
that. I think it's $10 a month.
is it? It might be. It might be.
I'm
It's
logging in
really
right now to see
affordable.
the billing.
So like I said earlier, because I like to put myself in our customers. We do white label, so we know what it's like to be an agency of maybe a dozen employees, and we know what it's like to be a freelancer where you're all by yourself, right? And $10 a month can be a bit of a cost, for some businesses. But I think you get the info you get if you're working on performance optimizations with GT metrics for
You know
10,
what? We were
14,
both
20,
wrong.
whatever it is. What
We
is
were
it?
both wrong. It's $13 a month.
$13 a month. So yeah,
There you go.
you get tons of info. But yeah, if you need a free one, tools.pingdom.com.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then the final tool that I will mention, although I have already mentioned it actually, is Inlinks, which is technically an offsite solution. It helps. Inlinks does two things. First is it does help build internal links, which is really what it was designed for in the first instance. It does that through, you put a little JavaScript code on the site, and it's doing all that kind of stuff in the browser, which but it does all get indexed as well, which is quite cool. But the other thing it does is it does help with keyword research and helps you formulate keyword clusters and content briefs. So if you are looking at a content strategy, developing a content strategy for a client, then Inlinks will give you that data as well. It does, from memory, have like an editor that you can write in, but in all honesty, there's better editors and content assessment tools and stuff out there. Actually, the final tool I am going to mention, and I know I said the last one was the final, but the one that our content team use over and over again is Surfer SEO. That is absolutely insane. What Surfer does is can get quite expensive, and actually, my take on it is it's not worth paying for the AI tool that's in Surfer, because the credits for that are just insane. You may as well pay for the $20 for ChatGPT, and then use just copy and paste the stuff over. But what Surfer does is you put in a keyword that you're trying to write a piece of copy for. It then gives you the brief for compared against the top 10 results that are ranking already for that term. So, of course, it moves every day, and the AI tool working to scrape the top 10 is fantastic. So it gives you things like how long a piece of content should be, how many titles you should have, how many images you should have, how many paragraphs you should have, what other keywords are being used in other content what other keywords are being used in the content in the top 10, where you could get internal links from, where you could get external links from. It literally is like writing content by numbers, SEO content by numbers. It is fantastic. So yeah, I'll pop a link to that in the show notes as well.
I wish it was as easy as just filling in the blank. I mean, you say it by numbers.
Granted,
but
I don't use it.
yeah, I was gonna say, granted, I don't use it day in and day out for that purpose. If it was that easy, it might, but no, it is
Yeah.
it is a good tool. I'm just having a laugh about that, but it is a good tool. I wanted to circle back real fast to Inlinks, because I have to be honest, I am not nearly as familiar with it as you are. I just particularly haven't had many, or really any needs for it. But if memory serves, I worked with Inlinks and I'm talking like over a decade ago on a blog. I used to have a travel blog, and they approached me and were like, "Hey, we do, link placements. You put this little JavaScript in, and we will automatically link a word to one of the sites in our network, and we pay you like $10 a month or something like that." And as a blogger, I was like, "Yes, $10 a month for every link you want to interject or inject into my site." I mean, I felt like I made it. Uh, and then I remember like going back like 5 years later and seeing like all these little blue underlined words all over the site. I'm like, let me undo that plugin, because I don't remember getting paid from that, or maybe I was, or maybe I wasn't. It might be a totally different company or service, so I don't remember. But that was well over a decade ago. But so as soon as you said Inlinks, I was like, I feel spammy, but I don't think we're talking about the same thing.
Yeah,
Or
no,
it's
we're not.
evolved
No, we're not.
a lot.
We're not. It's not for the it doesn't do the external links anymore. I can't honestly remember it doing the external links, so maybe you were using it before me, or maybe it was a different service just with the same name, I guess. But it purely does internal link building right now, which is cool.
Yeah, it created like
So
one of those private blog networks, essentially, is what it was doing,
yeah,
and a strategy that worked once upon a time.
yeah, absolutely. Once upon a time in WordPress. Anyway, I realize this show's been like an hour now, which is insane. We didn't plan on it being that long at all. But yeah, hopefully, if you're still with us, you found some value in this.
Thank you,
And
Mom and Dad, for still listening.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, our other listener will be celebrating with you. And it's the show notes will be linked somewhere around the podcast. Links to all of these tools will be in there. But that wraps up our WordPress SEO stack for 2023.
Yeah, that was fun.
Cool. Have a good one, and we'll see you in the next episode.
The WP SEO Show is brought to you by SEO Hive, your agency's proactive white label SEO partner. We understand that finding a reliable SEO supplier is key to ensuring you build stable monthly recurring revenue into your digital agency. At SEO Hive, we have a suite of products that will help you sell, scale and deliver your monthly SEO retainers, from our Scout reports and one-off technical boosters, to our flagship local SEO and honeypot plans, all of which have clear pricing and monthly deliverables. If you want to explore how SEO Hive can help your agency deliver high-quality and reliable SEO agreements for your clients, you can find more information at seohive.co and schedule a call to discuss the next steps.